Hello, this is Steve Pavel with DSD Business Systems. In this Sage Intelligence session, I'll be showing examples of custom financial statement reports that can be created using Sage Intelligence. And I included examples of a variety of financial statements formats. And I also incorporated in this demo some of the best practices that I use for development of financial statements using Sage Intelligence. I also added in this demo the capability to investigate the GL posting history directly from within the financial statements. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'll cover the basics real quick. So on the Sage 100 menu, we got Sage Intelligence. You've got the module Sage Intelligence Reporting under Reports, under either the viewer or the report manager. You go ahead and launch that. This particular report that I ran is this DSD demo. And this particular one, to set the stage, it includes three separate companies in a consolidation. And I'm not going to make you wait 6 minutes. I already ran the report, but it took about 6 minutes to run. In this scenario, the three companies, they have quite a bit of history and a lot of GL accounts. And so 6 minutes is pretty good performance. And what else do I want to say? That for this example, the company or the three companies do have the same chart of accounts in terms of main account numbers. And then they each of their locations has a unique location code in the segment of the second segment of their GL account. So after 6 minutes, the report runs, and this is what came up. Size this here. Okay, so on going left to right, on the first tab is the parameters, and when you run the report, it actually pops into this cell A1 on this tab. And this is where you indicate what date you're looking for, for your financial statements. So as an example, this one is older data. It's 12/31/2022. And then if you are using budgets, as you may know, the Sage 100 allows you to have an unlimited number of budgets for each fiscal year. And this is where you can specify if you want to compare the budget. Do you want to compare against the original budget or a revised budget or budget number 3, etc. This particular demo that I put together, since they do have locations and multiple companies, I actually incorporated a drop down here to say, what is it that you want to see? And you see here that you can do consolidated all three companies. You can pick any of the three companies, or you can pick individual locations within each of the companies. And we can do more combinations. It's pretty much whatever it is you want for reporting. We'll be able to put it on this list. And so let's stick with the consolidated. This particular company, they don't do balance sheet accounts by location, which is pretty common. So on this drop down, I gave them the option to pick either a consolidated, all three companies, or one of the three companies. And again, if they needed to or wanted to, we could do a combination too, to say I want to see just 1 and 2, or just 3 and 1, or whatever combination we want. All right, so that's it on the parameters tab. All the rest of the fields here are calculated. Okay, so you don't have to worry about anything except for these cells that are highlighted in yellow. At this point, I'll kind of pause and answer some questions that I've gotten from folks when I do these demos. Can it handle a fiscal year? The answer is yes. Okay, this particular example, it is on a calendar year. All three companies are on the calendar year, 12/31 year end. But yes, this could be constructed, and I've done that, for companies that are on a fiscal year, ending in April or July or whatever month. Another question I've got is, Can we have, what about a company that has 13 periods instead of 12 periods? Yeah, that's fine. I've done that. No problems there. And then the same thing with, if you are in a 13 periods, or even the 12 periods, some companies use, 4-week periods, 4, 4 or 5, they call it. And can we handle that? Yes, we can handle that as well. Okay. So I'm going to skip the control sheet for right now. I'm going to come back to that, but I'm going to go to the next tab, which is an actual income statement. And by the way, as I go through this, I think that it's might be a little overkill, but what I wanted to do is incorporate a variety of, different ways that you can present your, at least your income statements. Okay, so on this first income statement tab, what you'll see here, sizes. Yeah, so the idea on this particular tab was I want to take a view over a number of years, okay? And we actually use the capability of Excel, the grouping capability, to group some rows together, group some columns together. So you'll notice up here that I've got the DSD consolidated. That's because that is what I picked here, for the income statement. I did the consolidated one. So you'll notice that when I go back and change that, that we're going to see the title change here. All right, so this is the entire year of 2022. And again, that's consistent with the reporting date I put here, 12/31/2022. So here's the entire year of 2022, the amount and the percentage of sales. And then, like I said, this one shows multiple years, so I can see 2021, 2019. We don't have history going back further than that, but if we did, there'd be numbers here as well. All right, then as far as this is, like I said, this demo is, you're not forced to use it, but this demo, I did some Excel groups here. So if I wanted to expand out the revenue amount there, I'll hit the plus here, and now I see, the detail, if you will, behind the revenue. So I see which revenue accounts make up that total. And I can do that. Hopefully you can see I got the pluses for each one of these. So the idea in this one is you get a one-page summary income statement that shows multiple years, okay? And you see that down here. But if you wanted to get down to the detail, you can open any particular one of these row groups, and you see the detail accounts that make up that total. All right, I also added groups on the columns. So if I open up the fiscal year 2022 column with the plus here, I'm going to see the period by period. So there's your January, February, March, etc. And then I've got the total, the total year, which we saw before. All right. If you're not familiar with groups in Excel, you can also hit like this too, and it will expand all columns. And the same thing with the rows. If you hit the 2 here, you'll expand all the rows. If you want to collapse them, you'll just hit the 1 and it collapses them. All right, so let's collapse this. All right, and I'll just make a note here of the net income, 13,133,598. So I'm going to skip the balance sheet cash flow. I'll come back to those, but I'll stick on some of these income statements. So this one is, so I'm going to flip over to the period to date, year to date income statement. All right, so this one, kind of the same concept, that we're getting a summary view of the net income. Let's go ahead and make sure that matches year to date actual to December 13,133. That was the same number, that we had there. Of course, it should be the right number. So on this particular one, you're seeing 2 months prior. Okay, so the first set of columns is for the period, okay? And then we got kind of equivalent columns over here for the year to date. So let's just, and again, these columns can be anything that you want. So this is, again, just I'm just giving you some examples here. So this one is showing 2 months prior. So that would be October of 2022. This column is November, and this is December, the actual for the current month that we specified in the parameters. Then I have the percentage of sales for the month of December there. If you have a budget and want to put that in, I'm showing the December 2022 budget. And again, the budget is percentage of sales, and then also a variance in terms of a percentage of the budget. So we can see here that the actual for the month of December is 70% of what the budget amount was. Okay, not good news. All right, and then to the right of that, I've got the same time in the prior year. So this is the actual December 2021. And this is the variance between December 2022 and 2021 in dollars. And then a variance in terms of the prior year. Again, this is all just for the current month, or just for the month. Just to make this easy, I'm just going to go ahead and hide these guys. All right, then over here, I have the year to date. So we were looking at the month, now we're looking at year to date. So we got the year to date through December, percentage of sales, and the budget for the year through December, percentage of sales, the actual is a percent of the budget, and then the actual for the prior year, December through the 12 months through December 2021, and then the variance between the current year, the December 2022 year to date, the full year compared to the 2021. We got a dollar variance and a percentage variance over there. All right, so that is an example of, and these could be separate tabs. Maybe you say I want to have a period to date income statement, then a separate tab for the year to date income statement. Absolutely fine. This is very flexible. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and unhide this. All right, let's move on to a trend income statement. So this is a pretty common request for a 13-month rolling trend. Okay, so regardless of what your year end was, you're going to see 13 months prior to the date that you want, and it's going to show each individual month, going forward. And then I did put in a year to date, and that is based upon the fiscal year, calendar year in this case, and obviously the year to date here is all of the 2022 months, put together, and a percentage of sales. All right, another example. So let's go to the next one, which is the trend income statement actual budget. So I've had this request as well. And what the request is to say, I want to see actual through a certain, through a certain month in the year. And then I want to see the budget for the remainder of the year. And then I get a column that is a forecast, which would be the actual months, plus the budget for the remaining months. And then you get the forecast, and I got the percentage of sales there. All right, so that's another way to present the income statement. So let me go back to the parameters here. And let's say that instead of, December, I'm going to look at a reporting date of July. And there's a lot going on in this spreadsheet, so I'm letting it calculate here. Okay. So now, if I go back to this income statement, this particular one, it really is designed to show, the year. So that's not a good example. Let me go to this one. So in this one, 2 months prior from our July date that we put in, July of 2022, that's going to be May of 2022. And then the month prior to July is June, okay, and so forth. So you see that this will automatically retitle your columns, headers, as well as obviously give you the numbers for that change as well. Okay, and the same thing over here, that this is the year to date is also through July. All right, if we look at the trend income statement, and I said this is a rolling 13 months. Yep. So you're seeing at the far right, July, which is the period, the month in the year that we specified, and then it's going back 12 months from there. Okay, so it's a rolling 13 months. And then this one, as I mentioned, you're going to get actual through July, since that was our reporting date. Then it's going to fill in the budget for the remaining period of months. And then the forecast for the year is just the sum total of those 12 months there. All right, so let me show you something else on the parameters. So I explained to you on the income statement that we can also choose to see what is it that we want to see. So at this point, I'm going to switch over to say, I just want to see that instead of consolidated all three companies, I want to do the T02 only. All right, it do its calculation. Now, if I go here, you'll see that the title says I'm looking at the DSD company T02, all right, and I'm seeing their numbers. All right, if I go back to the any of these, it's the same thing. That I'm going to get the titles here that show I'm looking at just the DSD company T02, and obviously the numbers are also just the T02 company. All right, going you across all the reports here, see that title, and then, like I said, the numbers change. All right, now I'll show you the same concept with going to a location. So let me go ahead and pick, let's go ahead and pick this one. So I'm in the T02 company and just the DAL location, probably Dallas. And again, if I go to any of these reports here, you see it's like it tells me, yep, you're looking at T02 Dallas. And you'll notice the numbers are smaller because we're looking at just that location. And same thing here, Dallas, and I'm seeing just the Dallas numbers and so forth. All right, so I'm going to reset this back to the consolidated, finish its calculation, and I promised you I was going to look at the, and also I'm going to set this back to 1231. Okay, and as I mentioned, this is not mandatory, but let it finish its calculation here. So this is not mandatory, but it's a best practice that I've incorporated whenever I do financial statements, and that is to have a control sheet tab. The idea on the control sheet tab is I want to make sure that my numbers tie out. Okay, so as an example, you see here that I'm comparing my actual GL accounts against the income statement numbers that are here. I mean the INC STMT worksheet tab. All right, so here's all my revenue GL accounts. They total this, and then it's comparing it to the income statement total revenue for 2022, and the difference should be 0. Okay, so that's all this is doing. It's doing it for each year and for each category here, and it's the same. I haven't shown it in the balance sheet and cash flow statement, but the same concept. So it ties out the net income, and then you tie out your current assets and liabilities and so forth. You make sure that your your total assets match your total liabilities and equity, both for all the GL accounts as well as the actual balance sheet. And then the cash flow statement, the same thing. We want to make sure the change in cash accounts does in fact, match the what the cash flow statement says is your change in cash. So bottom line is that you're looking for all the highlighted cells here to be 0. And that way you know that you've got integrity with your numbers and your balance sheet balances, and the net income ties out, and the revenue and so forth. So this is a huge time saver, and also you have more confidence in publishing the financial statements without worrying about, whoops, I have a mistake somewhere and my net income is not proper or is misstated. So what might lead to this being, out of balance? It could be that maybe you added a new GL account, and if you didn't add it to the Sage Intelligence financial statements here, either if it was covered by a range, or if it wasn't covered by a range, you added the account, you didn't add it here, that obviously would cause the GL account total to not match what's on the actual income statement. And by the way, this parameters that will also, I'm sorry, the parameter entity that you picked here for your reporting unit, that's also going to affect what you're seeing on the control sheet. So let me show you that. So I'll pick the 201 company, and I'll do the 201 company for a balance sheet as well. But calculate. All right, then I'll go back to my control sheet, and now you see it's telling me, it's like, okay, now you're looking at the T01 company code, and you can see that, things are in balance for 2022. However, I noticed that it's like, oh, I got a difference on the cash flow statement. It also looks like I have a balance sheet that's not balancing. So I'm not going to troubleshoot that on this demo, but that's an example of why I have the control sheet here. All right, so let's reset this back to the consolidated. Finish its calculation. All right, we'll go back to our control sheet. And again, we see everything on a consolidated basis, everything ties up. All right, so I skipped the balance sheet and cash flow before, so let me go back to that. So the balance sheet, similar design to what I showed you on this income statement, in that I'm seeing the history year by year. So here's the end of the year for 2022, 21, and so forth. And here's the major groupings, if you will. And again, the concept, as you can see, is a summary balance sheet, on one page. But we got the groupings that we set up in Excel where we can expand out any particular one of these. I don't want to open up the fixed assets. It's like, yeah, there's the detail behind it. All right, and then similar to the income statement I showed you earlier, I also can hit the plus on the column here and then see the month by month balance sheet. And I got the percentage of assets here too, which is a common column to add. Okay, cash flow statement, very similar to the income statement and balance sheet in that we got the goal here was, again, just a one-page, summary of your cash flow by year. And again, we have those same capabilities to expand it out so we can look at it period by period. And also on the rows, we can expand it out to see the individual components that make up that summary total. All right, now I could have done it, but if they said, oh, let's do the cash flow statement for the rolling 12 months or 13 months, we can do that. And cash flow statement, if we are budgeting, balance sheet accounts as well, then we could do, this actual budget cash flow in the balance sheet and so forth. So I didn't do all that, but hopefully you see that that's, possible if that's something that you're interested in. So I'm going to go back to here, and let's say that I want to be analyzing, go back to Dallas, and I want to be analyzing the Dallas location, and I'll stick with the entire year of 12/31. All right, so again, we go back here, and now I'm seeing just the Dallas location. I can see the totals there for the year, and let's go to this one. And this is showing me the totals here. So I'm going to open up the variable expense. All right, let's say as an example, the labor's over, but let's stick with this one, the blower parts and repairs. And we see that it's like, yeah, the month of December's actual was $49.56. That's quite a bit higher than October and November were. And also, our budget was only $428. I might want to investigate that. All right, so you look at it here and say, yeah, I want to investigate that. So I added, and this is not common, but it is. I wanted to show you that it's possible. That I actually added a pivot of the GL detail history. Okay, so on this one, I can go ahead and select, what was I looking at? December, right? So I'm going to go ahead and select December of 2022. And I could select the company T02. And now I'm seeing all the GL, detail for that particular month for that company. But I want to be even more specific. Say I want to look at just the DAL location. Okay, and now I'm seeing everything with the DL, that's associated with the DAL location. But I wanted to be looking at the variable expenses. So that's my account group 6,500. All right, and now I'm seeing the detail of that, all the variable expenses. I should be able to tie that number out if I go back. So I'm looking at December, at a total for actual December 169,243, 169,243. So you see that, and obviously it's going to match up account by account. So 49.56, let's call it, for the blower. Parts and repairs 49.50. You see how that matches up. So now on this tab, I can actually drill into it. And I can see here that there was one AP invoice, and I can see who the vendor was, and I can also see the particular invoice number. So if I wanted to have somebody pull that or, look at that invoice to say, what was that for? I could do that. If I wanted to expand this out and say, well, I want to see, let's say the quarter, maybe I want to see October and November and December. Okay. And then I see there's a total of 3 invoices there. And again, I can tell who the vendor is and the invoice number. All right, so I think that's about as far as I want to go on that. Just the whole concept of you can actually incorporate, your GLD posting detail, to investigate, further. So we went from, it's pretty nice. You went from the consolidated, then we can go down to the company level. We can go down to the location level. We can go down to the account level here. And we can see that, actual by month, and we compare it to budget and so forth. And then if we identify something we want to investigate, we can actually go all the way to that right tab and look at the GL detail and see what got posted and who the vendor was and so forth. All right, so I appreciate your watching this video. Like I said, it's pretty comprehensive. This example, in reality, this is probably overkill. I don't think I've ever done one where the end user wanted all of what I showed you, but I wanted to do one demo and be able to show you, a variety of ways of looking at it. So a couple other things that people ask, and a lot of times I just give the general answer of saying, well, can you do, can you do this? Can you do that? And can you maybe do graphs? Okay, it's like, yeah, this is Excel. Okay, always keep that in mind. This is Excel, so we're not removing any capabilities from Excel. We're giving Excel more power with Sage Intelligence. So anything that you want to do with charts or anything you want to do that Excel is capable of, it doesn't remove that capability. So you can take this further with Excel functionality. Maybe you want to say, hey, if it's over budget, let's go ahead and make the shading red or whatever, features like that in Excel. Okay, so again, I think I'll wrap it up here. So I will say that Sage Intelligence financial statements probably is the primary use of or deployment of Sage Intelligence. That's what people typically use when they say, hey, I want to start using Sage Intelligence, that they start with the financial reports. You should watch my other videos on Sage Intelligence, and those are on non-financial reports. And I love doing those even more than I do financials. So very, very powerful solution. I will make mention that with this consolidation that I showed you, you would require, if you have multiple companies in Sage 100 that you want to get onto one report, whether it's a financial statement or a non-financial statement, you will need to have the license for the Sage Intelligence connector, but it is very reasonably priced and in my mind, definitely well worth it. All right, so with that, I will go ahead and end our demo here. So thank you, and be sure to check out our other Sage Intelligence demos.